Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing here? It's 7:34 in Chicago. It's the August 4th. Um, all right, we got. It looks like these semis want to take another leg up here, so I am cautiously optimistic. Okay, we had a pretty good day yesterday. We had a few good names moving around here. ALAB had a nice move yesterday. All right, ALAB. Hold on here, ALAB. All right, so there is your ALAB this morning. All right, so 352 bucks closed at 321. It was a nice day yesterday to the upside, and we're going to get some follow through pretty good here too. All right, so 330 was the highs at 330.60. She gets all the way up to 352. She's starting to pull back a little bit. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic with these. I think it's still a bounce. Um, and that's what I think. All right, but it will be in the pudding. All right, as they would say. All right, so ALAB, much better day yesterday. Intel looking to go with a little follow through as well here. All right, closed at 91 now. Now he's up another $4, but I start to see a little bit of movement coming back to the downside on Intel. All right, so Intel, nice day yesterday. Looking to take another day up, and you're still going to be stuck inside that 2 day. But 95, man. All right, so we're going to be right inside that day, the previous day. All right, so better there. Cisco too, man. Cisco really moved up yesterday. Had a decent day. All right, got up to 116.31, trading higher here now, 117.77. You got a big outsider here that will flip at 8 o'clock. So we'll see at that one. All right, Cisco's. I start to see a little bit of profit taken back in here. But we have full time frame continuity except for the quarter. All right, quarter's still kind of stuck inside the red there. All right, so Cisco pretty decent. We'll look at the 800-pound gorillas in the roof. 865 now on Micron, trying to come back up. My numbers was 858. All right, so I think if 858 comes back into play, I think you might get a little bit of a nice area there where there might be a chance to hover above that number. All right, so 858's my number. It's higher here this morning at 865. We'll see. All right, SNDK pulling back here now a bit. All right, nice day yesterday as well here, up to 1319. All right, and she's trading at 1353, so not significantly higher, not taking anything out here. All right, what did we get to though? We got to 1370, but we're nowhere near getting this 2 day out. All right, so looks like we're going to be just expanding here a little bit here. It's going to be a small gapper inside, and we're not going to be taking that 2 day out. All right, so SanDisk. We'll see. I think, and what else do we got there on semis? Taiwan semi is better this morning too. Had the nice day up yesterday at 407.80, trading 416. You're not getting out of the 2 day yet. All right, so we're still stuck inside there, and we'll see what happens. 417. This is a nice move this morning on Taiwan Semi, moving to the upside too. All right, so we'll go through the kind of the bigger names, and then we go through it there. All right, now the Mag 7 is kind of stalling out, and Mags has been great. All right, MAGS. This has been good to trade. I mean, we're all over this thing the last 3 days. All right, so Mags has had a nice move, but I think she's starting to stall out a little bit here. Coming back down now. This was a big move, but you got a couple of things that are moving this morning. You got Meta just crapping the bed again. All right, back down with you, Meta. So Meta makes the nice 3 day. and she's back down here now. Got down to back down to 575. All right, so we're going to be inside day here today, a little bit lower. All right, we'll see what happens with Meta trying to get back there at 581. All right, so Meta's lower this morning. Amazon is finally. We talked about that pie in the sky. Don't go chasing waterfalls, stay in the rivers and streams that you know of. All right, so coming back down a little bit here, just a little bit, not taking a day down or anything, but we're close. 277.70 actually will break that day to back to the downside. And I said, this was too crazy with the gap. She's got to come in, and it looks like she's going to take out yesterday's lows on Amazon. All right, so the Mag 7 kind of stalling out a little bit here, and Microsoft as well. Not a reversal, all right, by any stretch of the imagination here, but just taking a breather, letting let the semis run and see how they can do, and then we'll see if they can hit the finish line. All right, so we'll see on that one. But Microsoft is starting to peel off as well too. Yesterday's lows were 474.57. We're just hanging on here around yesterday's lows. All right, so I'm not saying a reversal of any stretch, but what I am saying is that they definitely have stalled out. All right, and Goog as well. All right, Google's coming back in here. Got yesterday's highs were 376.10. Yesterday's lows were 362.95. You're going to be handily inside day right in here. All right, so Google, again, just a little bit of a stall out. NVIDIA is back down to 210. Coming back down. Where it go yesterday? Got a little carried away. Got up to 208.72. So 210 right now. So it's bad. All right, NVIDIA a little better here at 210. Was up to 210.68. She comes back down to 209 here now. So coming yet close to yesterday's highs, but hovering just above that. All right, so NVIDIA a little better there, and Tesla. I tell you, Tesla, we're buying dips now, man. We're definitely dip buyers on Tesla here. Tesla's, again, are they going to bounce? Are they going to continue to move from here? If we knew that, then forget about it. But you got everything you want except for the quarter, and the quarter is pretty heavy on Tesla. All right, so we'll get a little bit closer to the middle of the month, and we'll get a better idea of how these quarters are starting to set up as we get the halfway point. Okay, so we'll watch there. All right, so tech. All right, you got semis looking to take another day up, and then you got the Mag 7 kind of stalling out. Stay away from Apple. It's just dead right now. It's dead money. All right. 296, guys. 295. I think so. But if they break that 295, then it goes down to like 280-ish. I don't think that's going to happen, but if we get down to that number, down to that 296, 297-ish, I think she's good there. All right. But right now, don't touch Apple. She is not in a good way right now. All right. So that's kind of where we're at with tech here. We'll take a real quick look at SMH. SMH, nice day yesterday. All right. As you can see right here, took that day, was a day upper. All right. It was a 2 bar. I say did not really take a day up. All right. But it was a 2. All right, so 545.65 trading 563. All right, so we are taking day up here. SMH looks like it's going to move higher here. All right, we're at 563.48, so we're going to take out this 2-day. So we'll see if SMH can continue to move that way. XLK. XLK is 181.90 here. Another one nice day up here yesterday, trading at 181.86, 181.86. All right, so you're up in here. All right, so we're looking to take out all this business right here, and then now this is what you're going to start the battle with right there on XLK. Okay, probably still underperforming, because of Micron and SanDisk, and we'll let that AXTI. Keep an eye on this AXTI, guys. It's a good trader. Um, nice move yesterday. Real big outsider yesterday. And where is she at? 66.56. She's going to be inside handily. And she's right in here. All right, so you're going to be inside there. You're going to go to 3-1 to see what the day starts on AXTI. That one is pretty good. I definitely want to keep that in the pocket. Crude's lower this morning. This is good. We're going to take another chance at peace. Okay, so we'll see if we can go after the 53rd try or whatever it might be. So we'll see what happens there. But there's no bombs going on, and the price of crude is coming down, and that is a good thing. Okay. Simple as that. All right, so yeah, crude down here pretty good here, down about 3% this morning, back down to 77.94 in a light sweet crude. All right, so more of that. Okay, more of that is what I will say to that. All right, now we look at the diamonds. Right here they go, man. All right, I'm in all my glory here. Diamonds just nice move in here now, 538. We're up in the stratosphere now. We've made all new highs. So where's the next move to the upside? Well, we don't have any magnitudes to go after really at this point. All right, so all we can do is measure from what we see below us, and we'll see what happens. That all right, but going into deep space. All right, so we'll see. I think the diamonds. I've been calling for 55,000 for a while. 1,000 stall outs and you get there. Okay, 1,000 triangles out and you get there. All right, so diamonds better here, and it's being led by mostly by industrials. A nice day yesterday with the industrials, made a nice move. Can it give us another 2 day up here? Look at this XLI. Look at on the 4 hour. It's got it going on right now, and you're going to get a flip on that. All right, so 185 up about $2 and change from there. So we're higher here this morning, guys, at 185.96. All right, so we're coming all the way up into here, 185. Where we at right now? 185.96. So right here. All right, so you're going to be going after this business right in here, 186.46. That would be your next move to the upside. All right, nice day yesterday on the industrials. I got a few names that we could take a look at here. Things that have been. Things that are moving this morning, I think more importantly here, Rocket Lab. Rocket Lab had an outside day, looking to take day up here on Rocket Lab right now, 73.41. All right, so you got the big outsider there, and no room for Sneaky Pete at all on this thing. All right, so coming taking day up here. Rocket Lab taking another day up there. I am watching this Iridium. It's making a move here, starting to pick it back up. I see Pivot Machine Gun all over this daily thing here. All right, so Iridium is finally back to full time frame, except for the quarter. But this one's looking better now. 2-2 up on the week here, and we'll see what happens with that one. All right, now a lot of that is tied in with that XLC group. That is kind of garbagey. And then you got Meta's lower, and then Roblox fell apart, and Netflix is just horrible, and that's just the way it's been. She's lower again. All right, so let's take a quick look at Roblox. Roblox back down again, man. Triangle out. Watch for the 3 day. It'll get there one day. All right. Roblox. We'll see Nike's lower this morning here too on your discretionaries. I see this one falling apart again. it just breaks my heart. Just breaks my heart. All right. So, but the couple things that I'm seeing this morning are the airlines are better here this morning. United Airlines had a nice day up, and she's looking for some more at 130, 111, going back up to the upside there. You got Delta Airlines on the move here. All right, so airlines all taking day up here, not running away with anything, but they're definitely higher here this morning. All right, American Airlines, American American Airlines. Come in here, 1645. Let's see what happens there. All right, American Airlines, a little better there. All right, so that is your industrials. Salesforce crapping out again, and then Walmart just cannot get its. It's maybe it's starting to pick up a little bit here. We'll see on that one. All right. I don't want to go through too many. All right. And then what else do we got moving this morning? We got some of the utilities are a little bit better here. All right. So our groups are such as so XLU shooter coming back down right now on this one, and it finishes with the inside day kind of stuck in the middle kind of thing. All right. So 44.65 trading 44.39, slightly lower there. And then you can watch those groups, Oklahoma, where the winds come sweeping across the plains. This thing's starting to move back up out of that lows from 36.61. We do have the month right, and we do have the week right now. All right, so these look pretty good. There might be more room there. Question is, are they going to go after these things? It's still the 2040 trade or whatever, the 2038 trade. So these things are still far off. So don't get too crazy with those. Boeing. Maybe it's time. All right. Maybe it's time for Boeing to make its move. We talked about it yesterday. 244.44. That's the target number that we're looking for right now. It's got the 4 hour coming back up here. Had a beauty of a day yesterday. There's always a fly in the ointment in this damn thing. But it's 1-1 on the quarter. 1-1 on the quarter. All right. So maybe it's time. All right, maybe it's getting to be close to be time because it looks like it wants to take this 237 range right here. All right, so we'll see what Boeing wants to do. Boeing might start to make that move. If it gets that 244, I think it goes higher than that. I think we go back to that 257 numbers. But again, it's going to have to be, you're going to triangle out some of that. All right, so utilities. A little bit better here this morning. They're showing showing a little bit of teeth. We look at banks. I mean, everything is so spent. XLF is sitting at the highs of everywhere. You got Bank America sitting on the highs of everywhere. All right, are we going to expand? BlackRock, BlackRock, BlackRock talking real strong about Tesla this morning too. I don't know why he's pumping that one up, but we'll see. All right. BlackRock though, look at this thing. This thing's moving really nice to the upside. Is Expando. We got a lot of room here. 12.19 to get back up to the highs on BlackRock. This is the question: Are they going to keep pushing here? Capital One Financial looks great here. Full time frame continuity everywhere across the board here. All right. So Capital One Financial just cruising along here. All right. And then you look at American Express, right? AXP. And you got the same thing, but you are kind of trapped inside here on the week on the monthly for sure. And I love the 212 on the week. There's probably still room in that thing. This has got a little erratic here, so I don't know what's going on with that. But then you got that 4 hour goes 3, and that's going to come in at 3-1 at we flip here in about 7 minutes. All right. So financials, good. JP Morgan a little failing here, if anything. You're right across the board, so be careful there. All right, so I'm cautiously optimistic on these in these financials, but I think they need to advance and they need to go higher, and I think that probably what will happen eventually. All right, that's it. Some of the metals are moving up this morning here. I got Newmont Mining here. Coming back up, had a nice day up here. Looking to take another day, 97 to $2 coming up from there. So start GDX closed at 76.05. It's trading at 77.32. That's looking to take another day up. So the metals are getting better here as we get a little bit closer to the opening here. Where's my gold and there's my gold. The higher this morning, up $2 and change. Gold starting to maybe move back up, coming out of this daily pattern here. This has been a real chop shop. It's going to be tough to get out of that. All right, so there's that one, and then there's silver. All right, and silver the same thing, chopping, chopping, chopping. It does have a 3-2 up today. All right, so that's taking a 3-2 up with a gapper up. All right, so silver definitely better along with the gold. Kinross Gold is in that group there, as you see, full time frame continuity except for the quarter. Uh, this is Anglo Gold, Ashanti. Look at that 3 bar coming back up strong. All right, so we're getting starting to see a little bit more strength coming into the the XLB group, all right, because that's the group that it's in. It's all in the materials group, all right. So we'll see. That's number 2 yesterday in our sectors, all right. So Staples kind of laying dead. We'll see. All right, market goes up. Those guys are going to rest. Procter and Gamble might move up because it's still tied in with the Dow, and so is Coca-Cola. So keep an eye on those. But right now, they're not. There's not too much movement going on there. So let those bring in. Then we'll bring those in, and we'll see where they start to come for. Everything rotates, man. Don't worry. Question is now. The biggest question now is we got a big day up yesterday on the semis. They're better yet today. Now, are they going to take another big day up, and are they going to really start to make that move? I don't know. All right. Again, I'm cautiously optimistic about tech, and we know that the Mag 7 has stalled out this morning. Okay, so that's all we got. Be good.